The topic of today is called sit on the dog. Now, not literally sit on your dog. You're going to sit on a leash that your dog is connected to. I am going to let you in on this secret. This is one of the most powerful, impactful things you can do with your dog, and it's the least amount of work for you. So I know you like that because I know how busy you are, and I know how hard it is to raise a puppy and have a dog and all the other things you have to do. I'm giving you a golden ticket here. I really, really am, for you and your dog, called Sit on the Dog exercise. So why would you do it? To teach self-control. Dogs need to have self-control, just like people, right? Like self-control is a good thing. Self-confidence, this helps with their self-confidence and focus. It teaches neutral behavior despite anything that could be happening. That's a beautiful thing, because a neutral, happy dog is exactly what we want. So the sit on the dog exercise activity, I'm just going to start from the very beginning. So whether it's a puppy, there's a few different things about a puppy, so I'm going to focus on that, of course. But even if you're getting a new dog and an older dog, this is still very, very similar, so it's still applied. There may be some small differences because puppies' attention span is just shorter, of course. So here is what you need. First of all, you need some kind of leash. So I love these couplers because I can hook one end to my belt loop, my jeans. That's pretty much all I wear is jeans, and the other to the dog. Now, if you don't wear jeans, or you don't have belt loops, you can literally sit on the leash. That's why they call it sit on the dog. It's up to you. You can wrap it around your leg, whatever. So I love these. So then these leashes, they're called a coupler, can also be used for tether training, and we're going to talk about that next Friday. Those are the three part of our power series, the three things everybody should do with their dog. We talked about hand feeding 2 weeks ago. We're going to talk about sit on the dog today, and then of course tether training next week. So this can be for both. So you can just have them tethered right to you, hooked to your belt loop. Or of course there's the leashes now that will wrap around your waist for, I think it started for joggers, but it's fantastic for service dogs and for little kids, as long as the dog is trained. Of course, you don't want the dog pulling the kid around and they can't let go. So always make sure safety is priority. But what else I love about these is because it's a coupler, so really you should be hooking your leash to the middle circle of in the leash. You'd be attaching it, and then the two would be so that you can walk your two dogs. So they're called a coupler, and this is what they look like. But again, I love them for these kind of things because I just hook it to my belt loop and the other one to the dog. But lots of different ways to accomplish the exact same thing. So don't stress. You don't have to go buy a coupler to just sit on the dog. You can just literally sit on the leash. You do have to have enough space that the dog can comfortably rest next to you. Hence, sit on the dog. You're going to be sitting. The goal is to get your dog into a nice long down stay, being neutral and non-reactive to anything that's going on. The biggest mistake you can make, though, is you take a puppy or a new dog and you go too quickly and you bring on too much distraction too soon. Too often we're setting our dogs up to fail. So number one, you're going to start, and people say, well, when do we start this? On day 4 of bringing your puppy home, you can start this. The first 3 days literally needs to be the puppy sleeping and in your home adjusting. There's so much stress. I don't ask anything from a puppy the first 3 days. It's just, hey, let's get to know each other. I want you to start to feel safe and start to trust me. I want to start bonding with you. Let's just get the rules and regulations down. Where are you going to sleep? Where are you going to eat? Here's your play area. Here's your potty area, right? We're going to kennel train. So it's just establishing all of that initially. So about by day 4, day 5, we're going to start sit on the dog. Now, the very first time you put this on your puppy, they could act like a little brat. They could alligator roll. They could scream at you. They could get fussy. They're going to pull all the way to the end of the leash. So if you have a stronger, bigger puppy and you're not so heavy, you're going to have to wrap it around your leg or something because it's going to slide right under your bum, all right? And then they got free. And so then they got rewarded for pulling on the leash. You're going to see how all these things, hand feeding, and then when we talk about tether training and sit on the dog, is also teaching respect to a leash and teaching them the release of pressure. Go ahead and pull all day long. You're not going to react. Let them alligator roll. Let them throw their fit. Like, they literally need to work through it because what they're going to learn is really, really important. I'm not going to feed into it. You're not getting attention for throwing a tantrum, number one. Number two, the reward is the release of pressure. So nobody likes pressure. It doesn't feel good when they're pulling on this and they have the pressure on their collar, right? Like, and they may cry and alligator roll and act like an idiot. They're going to learn, though, what? The release of pressure. When they come close to you, you're the reward, then there's a release of pressure. And that is the reward. Come next to me, dude. You won't be choking yourself. Like, I'm not doing it, you are. They need to work that out on their own. You cannot, I don't want you talking to them. So you're not going to be trying to call them to you. You're not going to be like, please don't do that. You're not going to say anything. You're literally going to ignore them and let them problem solve and figure it out on their own, right? We're building confidence. They need to believe in their own abilities. They can figure this out. There is a way out of this discomfort of pulling tight on the leash and feeling the pressure on your collar by coming next to us, and the reward will be the release of pressure. Okay, so let them. Most puppies will throw a little bit of a fit because they're not used to being contained. They haven't been on a leash, right? And nobody likes to be contained and controlled. I mean, let's be real. So we need to come to some kind of agreement that this is the way it's going to be, and it's not bad. There is rewards. I'm moving around on my chair. My dogs are getting up. And sorry, I did not mean to bump you. Bumping the dogs with the chair. Okay, so you're going to hook them on the leash. You're going to sit on it. Be ready for the first several times. It only takes like 3 days. Mark my words. 3 days of the initial fussing, just like kennel training. And then the minute you put a leash on them and sit down, they're like, okay, we know the drill. Like, let's just get this over with. Your magic number is 30 minutes to start. This is with a young puppy. 30 minutes after they settle. So don't start your timer, really. Don't look at your watch, your phone, until they settle, and then you'll start your 30 minutes. We're teaching, remember, we're teaching self-control, focus, neutral. You're not going to touch, you're not going to talk, you're not going to give your puppy any attention. The whole point is that they can do a long down stay and be neutral and happy while you do what you need to do. Okay, so that's the whole point. So don't be touching and talking to them. The only thing I do correct and is if they're biting me or biting the furniture or jumping up on me, I don't say anything. I just simply, you can take the leash and just pull it back down to the floor, showing them, you need to be back down to the floor. And when they settle, I'll release the pressure and let go of the leash, and then it won't have any, pressure on it anymore. So again, the release of pressure is the reward. When you jump up, I gotta pull you back down there, buddy, like you need to be down on the ground. If they biting the leash, that's super common for a puppy. One, because they might be protesting a little bit. Two, they put everything in their mouth and want to chew on everything. I just give it a little snap and no bite or whatever. So it's uncomfortable enough that they shouldn't do it again. If you kind of snap it and kind of snap it out of their mouth and it becomes a game, you're going to make it worse. So you need to acknowledge, like, oh, they're biting more and they're coming back with more intensity. That's on you, because that's exactly what you're telling them to do. So it has to be uncomfortable enough that they're like, oh, I don't like that leash, kind of bites me back when I put my mouth on it. Yep, you're right, it does. If you feel uncomfortable with that level of correction, which I really hope you're not, because dogs do respect and require a firm, confident leader, you can always get a chain leash initially until the puppy mouthing isn't as bad. Or I will give a young puppy something a little bit higher value to chew on that they would only get on the long down stay, like a bully stick, for example, something that needs me to observe and make sure they don't choke or get it stuck in their mouth or whatever. So I'll give them something good to chew on. You can also, setting yourself up, like, let's work smarter, not harder. Start laying down a blanket or a bed or something and teaching place, so that no matter where that blanket goes or that bed goes, you say place and they go to it. So you can start establishing that now as well. I don't always do that because I just want my dog to know no matter what, when I sit down, just lay down. Like, I don't need you to be fussy. You don't need a bed. You don't need a blanket. Like, I don't need to carry more things for you. Like, I need a leash and you need to have a collar on, and we should be able to go anywhere and do anything, unless you need your boots in Vegas because it's hot, right? Or any other place. Okay, so you start your timer when they settle, and it's for 30 minutes. And then when they're done, and I praise and I reward that, you know, they did it. You can do it twice a day, but I wouldn't do it more than twice a day. And again, don't set them up for failure. Please don't. Don't do it right when it's a busy, active playtime. When would you do it? When it's nap time, right? Like, let's start establishing when it's nap time, you're going to sit. And then as they get a little bit older, because they're still babies, it's hard to focus that long. It's hard to be contained that long. So I always do it right close to nap time initially. And then as they start getting older, we're going to really start changing things up. So initially, I think the desk is always great because I can be working for 30 minutes or whatnot. So even in my house, though, and in your house, think about all the places where you sit. And you need to accomplish all of those places first, okay? So the kitchen table, with or without food, that doesn't matter. If you don't want your dog under the table or in the kitchen when you're eating, then don't do it at the kitchen table ever. But I think it's really good if you ever want to go to like an outdoor cafe someday. Like, I want my dogs to be polite around a table, that they go into a long down stay. Their nose isn't at the table. They're not begging. You know, they're not bugging anybody. They're not smelling people. Like, they just go boom right into a long down stay. Keep your nose to yourself and settle while I eat, or, you know, that's what I prefer. And I think that especially with our service dogs and dogs working out in public, absolutely have to have that level of manners, right? And I think, and your dog should too, even though it's a pet. They should have we should have high expectations for their level of their manners and politeness with people and living in our home. So kitchen table, couch, desk, side chair, on the bed in your room. Think about all the different chairs you have, and then you're going to increase the distraction level. So you're going to accomplish the house, right? So you want it to be like the minute you sit down, your puppy's boom. And you know what you're going to see happening, which is just really, really, you're going to smile. You're going to be like, Jeanette was right. This was like the easiest thing I could have done. Like, sit for 30 minutes, ignore my puppy, sit on my phone, watch a movie, work, read, whatever, right? Eat. What you're going to start seeing is the puppy's going to naturally start doing this. And it's really, truly a beautiful thing. And it really helps create this bond that is nested in safety and respect. And they want to be with you. This is where they feel the safest because you've been a reliable, firm leader, someone that they feel safe with. So accomplish the house completely, that anywhere you sit, they just go right on down. And it doesn't matter if it's a family movie and there's popcorn and lots going on. Remember, little puppies are going to forget, oh, we're attached to a leash. So if there's a lot of, you know, kids are up and down. I may not do that initially. I'm not going to try to do it during a family movie where there's popcorn dropping on the floor and the kids keep getting up and down and, you know, there's lots going on, because it's going to be harder for the puppy to accomplish 30 minutes of being settled. Now, I don't start it over because the puppy, you know, stands up. Like, they're still little. Like, I'm still on the clock. But I don't start it until they are settled. And then typically, again, you know, they'll just fall asleep through all the chaos, all the commotion, whatever's going on. I have this neutral, happy, non-reactive dog. But I'm going to work up to distraction, right? So then maybe the movie night comes later, maybe outside on the patio during a barbecue. Hey, I think we might be ready. Maybe when company comes over, I'm going to do a sit on the dog and I'm going to let everybody know I'm training. Please don't talk, touch, or acknowledge my dog at all. Please pretend like they're invisible, because again, I want this dog to be completely neutral and well-mannered in any situation, and regardless of what is in the environment. So now we accomplish, I up the ante a little bit. I up the ante on distraction. I brought new people in. We are outside. There could be birds. There could be balls. I'm going to up the ante again after maybe another couple weeks of us accomplishing that kind of level of distraction. And what about when the kids are playing ball in the yard? What about if the kids are swimming in the pool? There's a lot of excitement. There's running. There's playing. Now let's try sit on the dog. So constantly be thinking in life, can my dog settle and have this level of self-control and focus and level of non-reactiveness on a long down stay when I'm sitting regardless of what's going on. So I accomplish my house, I accomplish our normal activities in the house. I'm going to start going outside the house now, right? And of course, they have to be fully vaccinated. I'm going to sit in the front. Now we've got cars. There could be unpredictability. Now you can't control the environment as much. So keep that in mind, that don't go right to the park where kids are screaming and playing. I work my way up to that. I sit at the outskirts of the park, and we accomplish that, right? Like, we're good. I sit down on the park bench, boom, they go into long downstay. No reaction. People can walk by, but it's not a lot of distraction. And I'm going to slowly work my way toward, there could be other dogs, there could be a bike, there could be a skateboard. You know how amazing it is to walk by a dog if you're walking your dog and the dog is completely non-reactive? This is a beautiful thing. That's a emotionally and mentally happy and healthy dog. They may look up and acknowledge, oh, dog, walking by, and lay right back down. And you know what else it shows you? That your dog absolutely trusts you. They don't have to be reactive because they know without a doubt nothing will happen to them. You're not going to let the dog approach, so don't. You're not going to let the little kid approach, so don't. This is also a lesson in security and safety, especially if your dog is being vulnerable enough to lay down and maybe even fall asleep or not pay attention to what's going on. Don't screw that up. Do you see? Would you like to be sleeping and then the person that you are with, that you trust, allows someone to come up and start touching you or talking to you when you're sleeping, or a reactive dog comes up to you when you're sleeping and the person that you're with didn't do anything? So you need to realize this is also about trust and respect. So I'm very much so, when my dog's in a long downstay, I am the protector. I won't let anybody or anything approach my dog, and I'm not going to let anything happen. Without a doubt, I will not let anything happen. And my dog knows that, so that they are able to truly relax and sleep regardless of what is going on. When dogs are reactive and they feel like they have to be reactive, they have to bark, they have to be high alert all the time, that's an issue with your relationship with your dog, number one. Fix it. Fix it and let them know. Correct that behavior, and then make sure that you give them no reason to be anxious and that kind of alertness and reactive, having to bark, because not excitement, which you can fix too, that's still an issue. That's still a human issue, that you've allowed that kind of excitement. But see, this will take care of all of that. So just don't mess it up. Do it right. It's the easiest thing you can do, but also make sure, though, that when your dog is in a long downstay and they fall asleep, they're trusting you. They're absolutely 100% being vulnerable and trusting you. So make sure they feel safe, and you don't give them a reason to not feel safe and not be able to settle and relax. Okay. Then as they get older too, remember we got the 30-minute timer for a baby, but as they get older, we're also going to not only increase the distraction, but we're going to increase the length of time. Because ideally, let's just say you want to go to Lazy Dogs and have lunch with friends. You bring your dog, there's going to be other dogs, there's food, there's servers, there's lots of unpredictable things going on, and you will be the superstar because you're just going to grab your chair and sit down. Your dog's going to go into a happy, neutral, long downstay and take a nap, and you can sit there and chat away and eat without having to worry at all. However, though, please remember, you are on watch. When you ask your dog to be neutral and fall asleep anywhere, it's still your job to make sure a dog doesn't approach, or people don't come and try to pet, or a little kid doesn't toddle in and grab their tail when they're sleeping. It is still your job to stay focused. So if you can't be focused enough to make sure something doesn't happen to your dog that's unexpected like that, then don't bring them. That's what I have to say about that. Okay. But the whole goal, again, is like you can just sit there enjoying your time and space and friendships and connecting with people, and your dog is right there at your feet taking a nap. I mean, right? That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay. Do at least once a day initially. And then, as you really are able to conquer this, and you can go, like Jim just tuned in and said, Holly's so good at restaurants because of this. When you get to the point that you can be in something in an environment that's that is that unpredictable, like a soccer game, a restaurant, at the park with the kids, and you're in a long downstay, you don't have to do it every day. Like, we've accomplished it, but just, of course, continue taking your dog places. And I think that's the whole point why you're doing it anyway. So just make sure that you still keep doing it. And if you haven't done it in a while, be ready to maybe make a correction or remind them, nope, you need to, down and stay and settle. So that you can keep their skills fine-tuned. That's the goal, of course. All right, what else? I talked about increasing distraction and duration as well. This isn't something, I talk a lot about the 3Ds in training: distance, duration, and distraction. Of course, there's not going to be distance between you and your dog on this. So you're only working on duration and distraction for the sit on the dog activity. You're not going to get up and lead the dog. That's a whole different ball game. That's if you're doing a down stay, you tell them to stay. Of course, then you could increase your distance, how far you're able to be away from your dog, and leaving them in a down stay. My mind was already thinking like 500 things, so I was moving forward. I was thinking of then you can get really tricky. What gets a little more complicated is how far can you go? And then just always make sure you always mix things up and don't release the dog every single time once you get to a certain. We're creatures of habits too. It's funny, I'll watch people training and they'll go exactly 20 feet every single time and give the same command, and they only let they have the dog stay for the exact same amount of time. So they're literally doing the same thing over and over and over. Like, they get 20 feet and they wait 10 seconds and then they release. Make sure you're really varying those kind of things, how long the dog is in the long down stay, how far away you get. And then, of course, if you can walk all the way around your dog, that's another level of obedience. And then really the big one is if you can be out of sight and this dog will stay in a long down stay. That's just a little tips and tricks of higher level of obedience. Of course, to sit on the dog is when you sit down, they automatically go into a long down stay. And ultimately, the goal is, and my dogs are quite a bit older though, I don't even need the leash anymore. I could drop it and they wouldn't even know. It doesn't matter. Like, you're not having to focus so much on restraining because they just naturally do it anyway. So wherever you are, wherever you go, whatever's going on, guess what? When you sit, your dog will be right at your feet and be very happy and feel safe and wait for you until you're done. Do dogs do this naturally? Yeah, ultimately, but we're also laying the foundation really early on and doing it with purpose, and it's more meaningful, and we're really thinking about building that trust and respect with our dog while also ensuring that they stay non-reactive, neutral, happy, and balanced. And that is truly what it's all about, because our dogs do deserve, more. And unfortunately, a lot of anxiety and reactiveness it's a human issue. We have done that to our dogs. So focus on that. Make sure that you do correct any kind of, be ready to, because you're also training, right? So the first time you go to a park and they see that bike whiz by and they go to bark, or they do bark, now it's really important to know, hey, I got to work on that. As a reminder, when correcting a dog, here's where we get it wrong. We wait until the dog is already barking. We try to correct that. The problem with that is they've already reached a higher level of threshold, and it's very difficult then to get them out of that state of mind when they're, in that high state of mind. And so even if you're trying to correct, a lot of times you're just feeding into it, right? They're like, oh yeah, mom's barking too, or you're adding to the intensity, or you're frustrated, and then that even creates greater angst about, let's say, a bike, right? A kid riding a bike by. So what you need to do, though, please, is the next time, or now, make a cognizant effort. I'm going to go to the park today and we're going to work on bikes. You need to be present. Your timing means everything. The minute they see the bike and they're like, whoop, and they do that little head turn or freeze as soon as they see it, that's what you correct. And you're thinking, well, they didn't bark at the bike. Yeah, but they're going to. And so you have to stop that train of thought right then and there. And again, it can be as simple as, no. They're like, ooh, yikes, right? That's it right there. Interrupt, stand, and freeze. You have to do the follow through. Every correction with the dog, you have to catch the thought. If they're already doing it, it's too late. You messed up. You missed the opportunity. So be present, be ready. Don't be fussing with kids. You know, and if you're taking your kids to the park, then don't take the dog that day, right? If you really want to address this and fix this so that you keep your dog in a healthy state of mind, they continue to be neutral and balanced, you have to put in the time. You have to put in the training. So I'm going to take the dog. My only focus is bikes. I'm going to correct that behavior before they bark, before they lunge, before they react. I'm going to interrupt that thought, and then I'm going to do the follow through. And that could be as simple as standing right in front of the dog, staring at him, letting him know this is not going to happen. This is not the way we're going to act. You do not need to be reactive to a bike. That's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for me, right? You're standing, you freeze, and you can't stop the correction yet. You have to wait until they relent, until they give up, until they stop, until they're like, okay, fine. All right, fine. Now go about your business again. Get back into your long down stay, or if you're walking or whatever, be ready, be ready, be ready. It depends. If your dog's been barking or trying to chase bikes for a long time, it's going to take a longer time to fix. If it's something new and you nipped it in the butt right away, maybe 3-4 more times, you guys, and they won't do it again. It truly is incredible when you communicate correctly with your dog. There's no reason why we have so many reactive, unhappy dogs that feel like there's so many things in the world that are threatening. And to me, that's very, very sad. So, all right, there you have it. Sit on the dog. Is that not the easiest thing? It's deceptively easy with huge, powerful, impactful benefits that you can go anywhere with your dog. And once you sit down, they will just settle at your feet and be non-reactive, be neutral. And that is what I want for you, and more importantly for your dog as well, to feel that safe, to feel that secure, to be that balanced. I'm Jeanette with 4E Kennels. We're only healing hearts and changing lives through the power of a dog, but we are changing breeding from bad to badass, teaching, mentoring, speaking, writing books, helping other breeders realize and be able to realize the power of a dog and give puppies a voice in their placement and be able to truly raise these puppies to believe in their own abilities. Have a great weekend, you guys. Bye.